everyone. I haven't spoken for a while because it always just feels weird to talk and vlog when I am with other people. But anyway, I thought I would show you the things that I purchased at Rhinebeck. So I went to Indie Untangled and I went to Cake Palooza, and then of course the New York Sheep and Wool that is at the Dutchess County Fairground. And I went for both the Saturday and Sunday. At Indie Untangled, I purchased 2 skeins of Plies and Hellhounds Nectar, which is her Superwash Merino Yak and Silk base, and it is fingering weight, and this is the leather bound colorway. It's a gorgeous brown, and I purchased this to make a shawl. So everything I bought, I went in with a plan, other than one thing, but I think that's okay. So this is a future shawl. At Cake Palooza, I purchased from a new to me dyer called Vita Lifestyle, and everything they had was ice cream themed. So my purchase came with this bag, and I also grabbed this bag. I saw it right when I came in, and in the end I grabbed it. It's just really pretty. So it's Vita Paradise in collaboration with Paradise Island, which is a bag maker. It's handcrafted in Ontario, Canada. It's a really sturdy canvas. It's a pink with this like rust orange, and I love the combination of that. It's drawstring. It does have a zipper pocket on the back. The inside is this neutral canvas, and there's the Paradise Island logo. Love it. Love it, love it. And the yarn I purchased is 6 skeins of this Surrey Kid Silk lace, which is 72% mohair and 28% silk. This is in the color Buttercream, or she calls them flavors. Super pretty. And this was also purchased with a project in mind. This is going to be a sweater. It's a holding 2 strands of mohair together sweater. So that was at Cake Palooza. Then at Rhinebeck, the very first day, I only purchased one thing, and it was this purse. I love saddlebag looking purses, and so I love this. I was holding it, debating, do I get it, do I not get it? Because it was in this very first barn that we were in, and it was, it was a lot of money to spend on a purse when I was here for yarn, but in the end I got it. And hilariously, this other woman, when I put it down and kind of took a step back, this other woman stepped forward, grabbed it, and then bought it. And I was like, I literally was just like putting it down to walk away and look at it. And I mean, like, yeah, I let go of it. It was not mine anymore. So I did buy it, and I walked over to the cash register just to see if she had more, and she was in the process of getting another bag out, and I had said, actually, you don't even have to you don't have to stuff that one. I will buy that one as well. So grabbed it. And then, when we were walking out of at the end of the day, we heard her, she was like, oh, I made that bag. And I think she was talking to her partner or husband. And I turned around and I was, oop, you're on a pillow so you can move. I turned around and I told her, this is the first and only thing that I bought today was your purse, and I love it. And she was like, oh, that makes me feel so happy. And so it was just a nice moment. What I did notice though is I can't find a brand name on it. So I'm gonna need to look at the vendors and see if I can tag her, because it's gorgeous. And I did use this as my like personal item carry-on. And all I had in here was snacks. So I had my water bottle, and then a bunch of cheese on cheese crackers, Biscoff from the first flight, pretzels from that flight, and then I did have these Pringles in there. And I had popcorn, which I did eat while on the plane. Then the next day, we'd gone to pretty much all the booths except for 2 of the barns. And so I was doing really good. I was like, you are not allowed to buy yarn without a plan. And it can't just be a plan that you throw together, because I have a lot of yarn, as those who watch my podcast can attest. I have a lot of yarn, and I really would like to buy a house here in the next month or so. I just have to find the right one that isn't super crazy expensive. And so, you know, you got some constraints. So I was thinking about 2 different sweater quantities that I wanted to get. One is the Harrisville Designs The Nightshade Collection, or a Primrose, which you can probably guess which one I bought, a Primrose, Yarn Co. and Brooklyn Tweed collaboration that they call Forage. And those are the 2 that I was debating on getting. And so we went to the Primrose. Did we go to Primrose first? I can't remember, but either way, we got to Primrose, and I decided, yes, this is the one I wanted. I wanted the Primrose because I feel like I can get the Harrisville design, which I probably can get Primrose online as well, but the Harrisville designs, I've seen it. I know which colors I would like to get. And so I feel comfortable purchasing that online. Whereas the Forage, I was still kind of up in the air on the color I wanted. Mainly it was like, do I go a neutral or do I go with red? I went with red. And this is going to be a Seasons sweater by Ozetta. Ah! So this is, like I said, Primrose Yarn Co. and Brooklyn Tweed. And it is Forage, and the colorway is Smokestack. This is a worsted weight American Targi, or Targi. It's a GH, which I would think is Ja, but I always hear it pronounced Targi. Either way, American Targi and Colombian wool, woolen spun. It is 280 yards for 100 grams. It is 2-plied, and I'm so excited for this. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I purchased this. And then while we were in the booth, a bunch of bags were tossed on the ground, but bags with yarn in it. And the booth attendant, who I believe is the head dyer for Primrose, she goes, "Hey guys, just want to let you know, in 5 minutes, we'll be opening our seconds sale, which are just imperfect skeins, or skeins that don't meet our quality control. And so they will be, instead of $32, $22. Or if you buy 15 of them, it's $250. You do the math, that's, you know, it's less than 22. I had another sweater in mind that just needed a contrast color in the yoke. And it's the Leave sweater. It's in Strands of Joy by Lina. So I picked up this guy. Right? So this is the Falling for You. It's Homestead Sport. Leaves is fingering weight, but I'm thinking the Sport will be fine. It's 250 yards or 75 grams. And then because I just loved this color, I got this guy. Look how crazy this one is. Wah! It's called Animal. Oh my gosh, I love it. Don't know what, so this is my only purchase that was a gotta have it just because, and it was on sale, so I don't feel bad about it. It is gorgeous. So basically, they're just like, there's some slubby bits. So like here you can see slubby. And then up here, there's some slubby bits. That doesn't really bother me, to be honest. So I'm so excited. And the Saturday night when I was in our cabin, kind of just flipping through the booklet that you got when you went in, and I saw an ad for Thread and Maple, and I was like, oh, I've always wanted to get their needle case, but they're just next to impossible to get. You know, they source it out of Ukraine, so it's even more difficult. And then I saw a little thing that said they were in barn 26. Yeah. Yes. I bought it. I bought one. So it comes in a bag. And oh, also my Primrose Yarn Co. Came with a 10% off on my next purchase. Fantastic. I love that. I love that when I buy yarn, I get typically a coupon for like 10% off on my next purchase. Because like in the grand scheme of things, 10% isn't that much, but it does take away, you know, tax essentially. Okay. I haven't even looked at it. So I think the leather scraps, you get this little leather tag. And then here's the binder. So excited, I love it. I bought the extra large one because why not? It was like $15 more to get the extra large one. And I haven't even looked at it yet. So there's a guide. I mean, I know how to use this. Oh, I am so excited. So there's like a little leather buffer that's in here. I got the lighter color because I like the way that it looks with the scratches and stuff. The back has a zipper, and then the inside, this is perfect because I actually want to put my double pointed needles because those need homes. They just kind of go everywhere. And the plastic bags like the plastic sheets that they come in, they're just, they're not staying because the bottoms have holes now. So I'm going to be putting them in here. And then there's just a cover so that your tips are protected, and it's like flush. It's not overlapped or anything. It's perfect. And then on this side, there's just some pockets, and then this guy to essentially hold your, like you could do your cables in here. And then there are, like these are pockets, right? So you could put more cables in here. You could put your pattern, you could put the other things. And then I purchased one insert because this stuff is expensive, right? Like this is, again, not a purchase I'd planned to make. So I didn't want to go crazy, and I don't know, I feel like this is something very, oh, and I already scratched my leather with my nail. That's fine. So I purchased the set for the fixed circulars because kind of the same thing. My fixed circulars are the ones that I don't have homes for. I'm so excited. So I'm just gonna put this in my binder. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to put needles in here. And that was my last purchase. So I spent most of my money on non-yarn, which is okay. You know, it's pretty good. All week, day one. I don't know if I'm gonna do So I think there's 8. The challenge is to do at least 4, unless it's 7, I can't remember. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. We'll see. There was a lot of moving pieces and I don't like that. There's a reason why I don't go to Orange Theory tornado classes, because you spend so much time moving around. I don't like it. I don't like doing it. So I'm exhausted though. That was really tiring. It was a lot of all out sprints, and then on the weight it was more cardio, or on the weight floor was more cardio. So you could see I'm still breathing heavily, whereas normally I'm like recovered by the time I'm done. But also too, like walking around New York City and all of the shows and stuff, like my feet are still tired. Whew. Time for a shower though. I keep thinking about Woolen Folk, and it's just like a train wreck that I can't look away from. And I'm so sad about what happened for all those people, and just financially how much that is. So I'm not a yarn dyer. It doesn't come close to it. But when I was in middle school and high school and college, I would vend at my local craft show that's in my high school. And I remember being, I would share that booth with my best friend, and then I would share it with my mom. And so sometimes my mom would cover part of the expenses. And like in the grand scheme of things, that booth wasn't that the booth wasn't as expensive as like some of these festivals, but still, I remember, debating, or not debating, but like being worried that I wasn't going to break even on the booth. And I think one year, it was awful. It was a very cheap booth. I think maybe $30 or $50 for the booth for the booth area. But we had to listen to K through 5th grade Christmas concert. Nowhere did it say we are gonna have to do that. It was awful. It was awful. Like, I think I was a freshman in college, and I had to listen to the same song sung by 4-year-olds to 10-year-olds. It was, or however old 5th graders are. Oh, sometimes I hate that. But it was terrible. And that craft show really wasn't a craft show. It was a Christmas concert for the school, and they also kind of added some vendors, because this would have been in 2010, I think, 2010. And I didn't grow up in an affluent area. I would say it was fine, but there was absolutely poverty, but like rural poverty. And I remember we had this little section of scarves. So I didn't even tell you what I made. I would knit garter stitch scarves. I would use acrylic and just make garter stitch scarves. Some of it were cables, but for the most part it was pretty much just garter stitch. And I didn't account for an hourly wage. It was basically, can I sell this scarf for more than I spent on the yarn? That was it. That was the only thing. Like, I didn't even put in the booth cost, really. So I had this section, of smallerish scarves that I thought would be good for kids, and I priced them at like under $10. They were about like $4, $5, $6. Yeah. And I had numerous people tell me it was too expensive. And I mean, I'm 19. Of course I'm gonna apologize that it's too expensive. So that craft show, I think I broke even, but I don't think my friend did, or like she broke even and I made like $10, and it was, all that work, all that effort. And it's a hobby, right? Like that was a hobby for me. If I made money, fantastic. I had something to buy Christmas gifts for my friends and my family. But just imagine, and like my complaint of that craft show was more of an inconvenience of like, oh my God, I don't want to listen to children singing for hours. Like, I like kids, don't get me wrong, but I don't love them. And I don't want to listen to them singing, especially if I don't know who they are and if it's a surprise. Like, if I know it's going to happen, I can prepare myself for the awfulness that is children singing who can't sing, right? Like, come on, we all know it's pretty terrible. And like, that was an awful experience, but a funny story, but no one was there wasn't the potential for someone to die or to be injured and have all these medical expenses, or to have all of their stock damaged. And how do you recoup from that? And then on top of it, before you speak out, you just see people posting about how much of a good time that they had. And it's like, well, crap, I had a shit time, but sometimes, a lot of times, the internet is pretty mob vindictive. And if they don't like what you're saying, whether it's in the right or in the wrong, whether you're saying something wrong or you're saying something right, if people do not like what you're saying, good luck. You're canceled, right? Like, but it's more than just that. Like, it's your livelihood, it's your being on the internet. Like, you can't come back from that, Like, I'm not going to say that some of these people didn't deserve it, right? Like, I'm thinking, what is that woman? She's blonde, Tuscan Knits, right? Like, she posted some racist, Nazi-ish shit. And like, it's done. It's over. I unfollowed her. I liked her logo, but there's a lot of yarn out there. It's not a loss, right? But like, she's done. At least I think she's done. Do people still buy from her? I don't know. I haven't bothered to look. Christy Glass, right? Like, she was this huge figure and she's gone. I never really followed her just because she didn't entertain me. I didn't see it. So I didn't really know a lot about her other than she lived in New York, and I love New York. So I'll follow people just because they're in New York, because maybe they'll show their city or whatever. But like, there's some examples of these, like, the Tuscan Knits is a small voice. Christy Glass was a massive voice, and you speak up or something and it's like, you're done, right? And maybe I'm not articulating this well, because I'm not defending those people. Like, that's an example of something happening and you saying something and you're essentially canceled. And so I think there's that fear, right? Like, well, I'm about to speak out about an event that people love, that is touted as being inclusive, as touted as being, you know, this like inclusive, but also exclusive. Like, let's be real here. That I've said it so many times. When I went to go look at tickets, $60. Like, there was a $10 fee to get the ticket online. Like, that's a lot of money for a yarn festival. That's all it is. It's just yarn. You can buy this online. Yes, it's better to buy it in person, but you can buy the yarn online. You're not missing out. It just feels like it because so many people talk about it. And these loud voices in the knitting community really hype it up, right? I never would have known about Rhinebeck if I hadn't started paying attention to knitting YouTubers. Wouldn't have heard of it. All these different festivals, would never have heard of it. The only festival I knew about was the one in my backyard. That was it. And then you get this FOMO because you really want to go because everyone else is going, and you know, it seems like the cool thing to do. And it's so expensive though. Once you really get down to it, it gets pretty, especially if you're just going by yourself. You know, like if I had gone to Rhinebeck by myself, that would have been, we rented a cabin because it was like one of the cheapest things we could get. But even then, like, you know, I would have had to pay for the cabin by myself. I got a rental car, so I was paying for the rental car. You know, you'd pay for the rental car yourself. We got snacks. You know, we shared the snacks, but otherwise, snacks all on your own. Food. My best friend and I, we typically just share everything that we buy for the most part. Like sometimes she'll pick something and then I'll pick something, and you know, we each bought our own thing, but then we'll, you know, share our food or whatever. The hotel in New York, shared, right? Like it gets very expensive when you're doing this stuff by yourself. And there's something that one of the things that I hate is commuting. I don't like commuting. I hate the wasted time. So when we were looking at how to get to Sheep and Wool and how to get to Indian Tangled and Cake Palooza, originally I thought, you know, we could just take the train in from New York City and then we wouldn't need a car and then we could walk. Now, granted, it is a mile to walk from the train station into Rhinebeck to get to Sheep and Wool. And we're like, well, that's doable. I can do that. I'm an able-bodied person. I work out very regularly. I mean, I literally just came back from Orange Theory. Walking a mile is a breeze. That's fine, right? So I was like thinking about these things of how can we do this the most economical way? And in the end, it was like, well, once we get there, then we'd have to, like, it was going to be too far to walk to a place to stay. There really was not going to be somewhere to stay. So we had to get a car. But those vendors at Wool & Folk, or even the people visiting, I didn't realize that there was such a big difference in the location change. I thought it was in the same town and it was just like an outdoor venue that got moved into an indoor venue. I didn't realize they moved like half an hour away. Like, just think about that. So when you set up, you leave all of your inventory there. And now you're half an hour away from it. That gives me, I wouldn't like that. And then it's just half hour commute, right? Like if you need to get there up and early, I'm not a morning person. It's a big reason why I don't like commuting. I feel for them. It sucks. It sucks so much. And now, you know, people are posting, you know, their stories and all this stuff. And the amount of mental effort it takes to do all of that, to keep talking about it, to keep addressing questions. Cause you know, I mean, I keep looking through the comments and this is what I was telling my best friend on Friday. I'm like, everyone's posting these cryptic ass messages. I don't understand what's happening. And I had watched Ashley's vlog. She is Paper Crane Yarns, and she had posted, or she had talked about it, and she said, you know, it was just really crowded. She didn't feel safe, and so they left. And, you know, I was like, crowds don't really bother me. It's not that, you know, it was pouring rain. There was rain everywhere, and it made the lighting not great. You know, even in the Untangled, it was dark because of the rain. But, you know, we walked over to the light, or, you know, turned our flashlight on our phones. So I was like, don't take this the wrong way. But I was kind of like, was it really that bad? Like, it's a lot of people. Craft shows tend to be really crowded, and you can't control the weather. You know, raining. But then you just saw more and more and more, and you saw pictures, and you saw people saying that they had to move their booths, like literally and half an hour before the show starts because there's so much water. And I'm just like, this is yarn. Once it's in the mud, it's ruined. It's ruined. You can't go back from that. Like, I guess you can try and clean it, but I've bought discounted yarn because it got rained on and it has a musty smell. I had to wash it multiple times to get the musty smell out. And even now, sometimes I like get it and I'm like, you smell musty, rather than acidic, like acid dye or vinegary. It's just a really shitty situation. And like, let's toss the emotions out of it. Let's get rid of the emotions and just think of it from like a business contract perspective. If what I'm reading is for real signed facts, right? Like a contract, and you as a vendor gave $900 to have a 10 by 10 booth that included electricity and was inside, and you did not receive that, like, you get your money back. That's fraud. Like, it's like, yes, you can say that's lying. That's stealing. That is stealing your money. That is not a following through on your signed contract. But these are all small businesses, right? It's like lawyer up. Lawyers are fucking expensive. That's expensive. And if you already lost a lot of money trying to do this, and you're drained, you're financially drained, you're emotionally drained, it's like, okay, well, now you got to go get a lawyer. Do you even have the energy to do that? So then, like, can you do a collective lawyer? Is there a lawyer out there who's going to do it pro bono? I don't know. But it sucks. So if you can, support, right? Share, like, you don't have to buy things, but if you can, that's fantastic. If you've seen it in this video, I spent a lot of money, so I'm gonna have to ease into, but I'm a list gal. I love lists. So I'm going to keep a list, and I'm gonna make a point of purchasing with intent from these dyers. I don't know, was this just like a bunch of word vomit, and did none of it make any sense? Were they the right words? Were they wrong words? I don't know. Disclaimer, maybe should have said this at the beginning, although I feel like I've made my point clear. I did not go to Woolen Folk. I did not see firsthand what it was, but what I can say is that I did go to Indie Untangled, and I did go to Cake Palooza, and I did go to Rhinebeck, the official, like, New York sheep and wool, Dutchess County Sheep and Wool Festival. Indie Untangled and Cake Palooza have timed slots. I don't love that because I feel the pressure to buy yarn in a short amount of time. You only get an hour and a half, and that's not a lot of time to go through vendors, because my preferred method is to visit every single booth and then make a second round. And you can't do that in 1.5 hours, especially at Indie Untangled. Cake Palooza you could because it was smaller and it was kind of like a circle. But Indie Untangled you couldn't because the two barns were too far apart. And it was pouring rain. But there was space. There was much more space and it was paved. You could get into those booths if you were in a wheelchair, which apparently you could not do at Wool & Folk. So it's just really shitty all around. It's crappy, right? It's just crappy. It just makes you sad. Makes you sad that so many people are upset, but it's not just emotion. It's not just emotional, it's financial. These are people's livelihoods. People could maybe not recover financially from something like this, especially these small ones. And that's sad. It's sad because it's not their fault. And I know life can throw some bad things your way, but from a legal perspective, this should not cause you to close your store down and all that. Those are my thoughts at this moment.